Hi, I'm Ariel. You're watching She Wants the Diction, and today I'm going to be talking about why I have changed my mind about audiobooks. So, for a long time, I considered myself not an audiobook person, more of a music person. So I want to kind of talk about my journey from not really being into audiobooks at all to now liking them under certain circumstances. So, first of all, the first audiobook I ever tried to listen to, I believe, was nonfiction. It was How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, which, if you remember when I did a recent reads, this is quite the thick tome. This fat, hefty sucker of a book that I've been trying to read for literally 6 months. And the narrator, I don't know if it was the author or not, but it was a male narrator, and he was very, very dry and very monotone. And I think I also approached it wrong because I would try to listen while I was out running, which, 20 minutes of listening to an audiobook is not really enough time for you to find the flow. And it's also, I found I would rather listen to music when I'm running because I think it motivates me more, like the beat and stuff. With listening to books, it's not intense enough for me to like motivate me while I'm running. So I think the way that I approached it is I made several mistakes. So that was trying to listen while I was running when I should have been listening to music, choosing a nonfiction book and a narrator that was very, very dry, and then only listening for like 15, 20-minute segments is not really long enough to like get into an audiobook anyways. Now, this particular audiobook I did try again, like in more of just a laying around the house setting, but it was very, very boring, and I kept falling asleep during it. So yeah, my first experience with audiobooks, not that great. And to be honest, I never really considered audiobooks as a format that like I wanted to listen to before BookTube, and it was really watching book videos that made me want to keep trying and give books a shot. So the next thing that I tried was, I believe, The Bells. And this was the first audiobook that I ended up really enjoying. The narrator for this one, I don't think it was the author, I think it was a voice actress, but she had like this slight British accent, and for the most part I really enjoyed that book. So I'm thinking, okay, well maybe I need to stop trying to listen to nonfiction on audio and just like choose fiction and stuff. So then I moved on to another fantasy book, and that was Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. She did not narrate the first one. It was a different woman. And at first I found her voice kind of hard to get into. But eventually I came to the conclusion that she was actually perfect for the role because Nancy is very like shy and unassuming, and her voice really conveyed the personality, I think. So it fit really well to the book. I can understand why they made that choice. The next book in the series was actually narrated by Seanan McGuire herself. And she was actually a really good narrator. Like, there were some problems, I think, with the sound mixing where she got a little too loud at some points, but I was pleasantly surprised because I expected the author narrating, well, their talent is writing, right? Their talent isn't really performing, so I expected it to be kind of bad, and I actually ended up enjoying her reading it in her own words. So from there, I had success with a couple of other, like, celebrity memoir type things. I listened to Abbi Jacobson's memoir, and I had known and loved her from Broad City. And I feel like this book could be pretty divisive as an audiobook because her voice has a very unique, like scratchy, sort of like husky quality to it that I absolutely love. Like, I think her voice is adorable, although I was kind of like pretty unimpressed with the audiobook as a whole. Like, it had a very just like generic ending that was like, everything's gonna be okay, and da-da-da, like the kind of cheesy shit that I hate. So just, I didn't really get a whole lot out of it, but as far as listening to her voice, like, I really like her voice. And when people talk about audiobooks, they really always talk about celebrity memoirs being read by the celebrity, which I can see the appeal of that because it's like a person you already know you're gonna like, and you go into it and you're gonna be listening to them tell it, and it's really entertaining. Another audiobook that came to mind, and this was, I believe, an Audible original that was like one of the first things I ever listened to. And I'm not really sure if I would consider this a book, but, I can't remember his name right now, but the guy that plays, Ron Swanson on Parks and Recreation had narrated this segment about, Mark Twain, Thanksgiving, and sort of getting all his friends together and trying to cook a bunch of Mark Twain's favorite dishes. And I really enjoyed his narration because if you guys know his voice, it's like very deep and like manly, you know what I'm saying? So that was actually probably the real first audiobook that or audio thing that I like enjoyed. And one of the great things I think about audiobooks is the fact that it can motivate me to get through more difficult material. So pretty recently, I listened to the audiobook of IRL by Tommy Pico, which is also read by Tommy Pico. This is another case of the author reading their own material, and I thought that he was a great performer, just very expressive, kind of campy, but like in a wonderful way. And poetry is something that's traditionally like intimidating, you know? Even modern poetry, the way that this book is formatted is like one long column of text. It's kind of intimidating to me, and to be honest, I was like, I don't know if I want to sit down and do this because there are no like breaks, there are no line breaks, it's just one long thing. But when I saw that the audiobook that he had tweeted out was, you know, an hour and 45 minutes, I was a lot less intimidated. I was like, okay, I have the text in front of me, I can follow along in the audiobook, listen to him reading it, and it just turned out to be just a wonderful experience. Like, I didn't miss anything in the text because he uses a lot of like text abbreviations and stuff. And also, like, I got the added element of his performance, and I was like, wow, I just want this to be like, I don't even know. Like, from then on, I was like, wow, I just want to do this with like everything that I read ever, because it was just such a great experience, especially something as difficult and dense as poetry. With the added expressiveness of his voice, it made some of the things that he said easier to understand. Like, even if you didn't understand the meaning of the words, you could sort of figure it out from his tone, because the human voice, I don't even think we realize like how expressive the human voice is. Like, it's honestly fucking amazing. And so I just had like the greatest experience with that. And then fairly recently, I listened to another memoir by Jessica Pan. To my knowledge, she's not a celebrity, so this is more of just like a general interest memoir, but it was Sorry I'm Late, I Didn't Want to Come. I think it's One Introvert's Year of Saying Yes. I did think, you know, the book ran a little long, but I enjoyed her voice. It's like very bright and chirpy and happy and just like kind of cutesy. And so yeah, I enjoyed her writing for sure. That was another successful case, and that was quite a long one. Like, I think that's probably the second longest one I've listened to, maybe after The Bells. It was around 8 hours. So the fact that I have a very short attention span, I was purposely picking shorter things to listen to try, because I don't know if I'm going to be committed to like the whole audiobook. And even the Wayward Children series, Seanan McGuire's books, they were novellas, so they weren't like full 8 to 10 hour audio books. So I'm purposely picking things that are on the shorter side to listen to. One of the other reasons I've gotten into them lately, which is probably pretty obvious to most people, but is kind of a new discovery for me, obviously, like, you know, around the house, cleaning and stuff, it doesn't really take long enough for you to listen to a full album or anything. Like, I would hesitate to get into like listening to music. So I think an audiobook could be better, because honestly, like, I put an audiobook on, I start doing the chores that I hate doing, like, you know, folding laundry, washing dishes, preparing lunch, dinner, whatever the fuck it might be, making my bed. So I'll be listening to the audiobook while I'm doing all this stuff that I fucking dread, and it's great because like it takes my mind off of it. It's kind of like with running, like listening to music helps me like get into it, you know, take my mind off of the fact that, you know, I'm physically doing something that I don't particularly want to be doing, but I know it's good for me, you know what I'm saying? So like listening to audiobooks has really been a level up for my adulting game, because I start getting really into the audiobook after about 30 minutes, and it's to the point where I'm looking for more stuff to do around the house so I can do something, so I can keep listening, you know what I'm saying? Which is just insane. Like, I'm a very, I'm clean, but I'm lazy, you know? Like, I go through spurts. Every few days, I'm like, wow, this place is a mess. I should probably pick everything up, you know? And then I do it. And it's a lot more motivating to be like, oh, yeah, I can put this audiobook on. Like, even first thing when I wake up, like, I'm excited to wake up, because as I'm getting ready in the morning, I put in the earbuds, I start playing my audiobook, and it makes the morning a lot less, like, dreading. It like makes me dread it a lot less, I guess, because I'm like, oh, I get to listen to an audiobook while I'm getting ready. And normally I would be like, fuck, I got work, this fucking sucks, I don't want to get out of bed, I'm tired. But when you have an audiobook to wake up to, like, it's the shit. Like, and I just spend a lot more time doing things that I probably should be doing anyways. So yeah, it's just great. And I even, depending on what audiobook it is, I'll even listen. Like, my friend got me this really cool Frida Kahlo puzzle for Christmas, and I've been kind of like working on that. It's a really difficult puzzle. I literally only have the face done, but I've just kind of been working on that, and I was listening to the Jessica Pan book while doing that, and so that's great. I love doing something with my hands while I'm listening to like an audiobook or whatever, like multitasking, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people have like long commutes where they can listen to books. I really don't. Like, I just started driving, and my commute is really only 15 minutes there and 15 minutes back. And I try not to have anything really playing or going in the car because I'm still a new driver. I've only been driving for like a month or so by myself. So I try not to have any distractions or anything like that. But once I get used to it, I could probably use that time to listen to books as well if I wanted. So yeah, it's just been great. The most recent thing I've been listening to, which I literally just started today, is In the Dream House by Carmen Machado. And at first I started off kind of iffy with it because her voice is a little strange, but it has this very compelling quality to it where like she has this momentum or this rhythm almost where like you're almost like leaning in, like you want to know what else she's gonna say. And it's just like I was so fucking into it. And like this little sections that she does are like pretty short. And so like it's perfect because with an audiobook, you don't want to stop till you get to the end of the chapter. You don't want to, at least I don't. I like to get to a stopping point before I stop. So short chapters are a plus for me when listening to audiobooks. And also checking before I start the next chapter if it does have longer chapters, just to like make sure that I have like the 40 minutes or whatever available to listen to it, because I hate stopping in the middle of the chapter. Like, I cannot do it. So yeah, my attitude towards audiobooks has really changed. And to me, it's just another format, because when I feel like just sitting there and just concentrating on a book, I can read my physical books. You know, when I have a moment, like, for example, we're driving somewhere in the car, that's 15 minutes that, you know, I can get on my phone and be sort of reading whatever ebook I have on hand. I try to keep it something that's either like something you wouldn't read all in one sitting, like short stories, or just something that's very simple to read that you can hop in and out of easily. So having books on rotation, an audiobook, an ebook, a physical book, having all these things on rotation has really helped me do more reading. And it's just been great. I don't think I ever would have been open to the audiobook format had I not seen a lot of people talking about it on BookTube and kept giving it multiple tries. So all of that said, how do you guys like audiobooks? Have you changed your opinion on them like I have? Do you still not like them? Do you love them? Like, is that the main way you listen? Like, I would love to know any and all feelings y'all have about audiobooks, any suggestions for other audiobooks that I should listen to, particularly dope narrators, like literally anything. Like, let's talk fucking audiobooks, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think I would ever be saying this on my channel, but literally, whatever you got to tell me about audiobooks, I'm open. My ears are open. They weren't before. I've been fucking recruited. I've been born again into the audiobook club, you know what I'm saying? So everybody, let's talk about it. Thank you so much for caring. I'm gonna see you guys in my next video. Peace.